Hey guys, Zach here from Montana Wild. Just wrapped up a mountain mule deer backpack hunt to kind of wrap up the season. It was a really good year, and we just wanted to go through my kit with you guys, run through all the gear and equipment that I had with me on the hunt. We put up a story on the Instagram and had a lot of questions on some of the stuff that we're running. So Jared, who's running camera right now, also did his kit, so be sure to check that out if you're into gear and all that. None of this will help you kill an animal realistically. Like, you can do it with less. It's just if you love hunting as much as we do and do it as much as we like to do it, having good gear will make that whole process a lot more fun and enjoyable and easier. So we'll probably put this backpack down. We'll do that last. As far as things that I would wear on my body, I don't have my whole kit on, but I do have it here. So for this hunt, I ran a pair of these Kuiu pants. I want to say they're the attack pant. They have a slight light checkering on the inside. I'm not up to speed on Kuiu's full lineup. Let's see. No, it's just kind of like a soft material on the inside. The slightly like mid-weight pant, side zips, those are really nice. They're pretty quiet too for how warm they are. And then for my base layer, I'm running a Mountain Hardwear piece that's now discontinued. It's basically a slightly thicker kind of like fleece style base layer. And the thing that I really like about it is that in the front, the hood comes way up, so it'll cover a lot of your face when you're wearing your hood. Those late hunts, it's cold. I don't have a lot of hair on my head, so I'm a hood up guy, and having that almost baklava up around your face just helps keep the heat in. And then I kind of have a mid layer that I've had for a long time. This is the Outdoor Research Ascendant hoodie, and it's a really good breathable mid layer that cuts the wind and sheds light precipitation pretty well. So when I'm hiking and really exert myself in the middle of the day, I won't have this on, but if we're stopped or if it's cooler or windy, I'll throw this on. And that's kind of my general like outerwear kit. I'll have a pair of Mountain Hardwear gloves that I really like. I just like the dexterity of these gloves, so I can do things with them. I can get on my rifle and shoot it. I've shot matches with these gloves, so that's kind of why I run these as my primary pair of gloves when I'm out there. Bino Harness. This year I've been running the marsupial harness quite a bit. Things I really like about it is that it does fully enclose on your binos. So if it's snowing or if you leave these out at night, you don't really have to worry about getting too much in here. The only thing you really got to worry about is closing it if you pull your binos out and it's snowing, so you don't get a bunch of snow in there. But I went with the magnet one. Really nice bino harness. Been happy with it. Feels like it's going to last for a long time. I'm running the bear spray attachment on the bottom here, and then on the left side I've been running just one of their side pockets and running my Kestrel inside of there, so I have easy access to it. I can also, if I know I'm going to be getting in closer on an animal, just turn my Kestrel on and my Leica Geovids will connect with it. I don't have my bullets still in here, but there's a couple spots for extra ammo, so I'll carry 3 or 4 shells in there. I've got 3 in the gun, so we're looking at 7 on me at all times. The binos that I'm running, I have the Leica Geovid Pro AB Pluses. These things are awesome. I've been a Leica guy for a long time and switched to Swaro for a little bit just to try out their EL ranges, which are really nice, but I just love the ergonomics of how these hold in your hands. And then this Really Right Stuff Bino clamp is nice because it actually sits pretty central to the actual center of gravity of the bino. So when it's sitting on a tripod and you're manipulating it, it doesn't want to like fall, where if you had to clamp it in the front or somewhere else, it wouldn't be as enjoyable to run for long periods of time. So these have been awesome. Applied ballistics inside of them is super nice. It's basically having a Kestrel in your binos. And then boots. Boots on a late season hunt for me are really, really important. I've had these for a couple years now, so they've seen a lot of miles. The tread's actually doing pretty well. You can see there's some damage to kind of the rubber rand around the front, but These are La Sportiva G5 Evos. I don't believe they make these any longer as well. I think there's some updated models. It's not a fully replaceable shell in here. It stays inside of here, but basically this boot allows me to slide my foot in really easy when it's been frozen overnight versus like a leather or a synthetic boot. I basically can strap in, and then on the outside, once you zip this thing up, there's BOA. So the BOA is also nice because when you're not going to be hiking a lot, you just leave this loose so you get better circulation on your foot and they stay warmer. It's got an insulated insole, so basically running these boots, my feet will and can get cold, but they never get cold to the point where I have to do something about them, which is really nice if you're trying to glass for a long time for mule deer, which we were. They're not fully waterproof, they're water resistant. So on our hunt, the snow is kind of melting and the moisture content of the snow is really high. So both of our feet were wet every day. Didn't have any problems, but you definitely notice when your feet are wet. As far as rifle goes, I built this 28 Nosler kind of the beginning of this last year, and this was kind of the first real hunt that I took it on. So we got a Defiance Ruckus action. We got a Proof Research carbon fiber barrel. I believe this one's 24 inches. Jewel trigger inside of there. Yep, Jewel on this one. We got a Manners LRH rifle stock, Mountain Gear bipod, which is a really nice lightweight bipod. You can just push this button and it slides right off, slides right back on. I have a Salmon River Solutions Arca pick rail on the bottom, so I can clamp into my tripod. I can run pick up front for my bipod, and that's been awesome. These legs are cool because they extend way out. They also have 3 positions forward like that, and then on the inside of the bipod, almost flagging you there, Jared, sorry. You can get a few different levels of width on that. So really cool bipod. Crazy light. I don't remember the specs off the top of my head, but check that out if you're looking for a lightweight hunting bipod, if I can remember how to use them. And then on top, got the tried and true Nightforce NX8 4-32 by 50 first focal plane mill XT. Got a little Halo X bubble level. Just running some, I think they're Butler Creek. We got the rubberized caps, which just covers this. I don't like the big crazy covers. And then on the end of the rifle, we got the Ableco Theorem suppressor. I pretty much only hunt and shoot suppressed nowadays, so that's been nice to have. All right, into the big and heavy stuff. So, we got the Stone Glacier 6900, and it would be a lot higher and taller when I had a full 7 days worth of food in there. I just have one for now, but this is sort of my do-it-all backpack. When I worked at Stone Glacier, this was the one I'd always recommend people get if they only had the ability to buy and afford one bag and one backpack and be able to backpack hunt over all the seasons. So this is kind of what I'm running. We'll lay it down. I'll just start piecing it out on what I have inside of this thing. So we'll start up here in this lid. Pair of sunnies. That was crucial on this hunt. I've got these Oakleys that have, I guess it'd be hard to see here, they have little protectors on the side, so when you're out there in the snow all day, it can get super bright. I was packing my camera, which we're using to film right now. That was on a Peak strap that was on my shoulder strap. I had my Sony a7S III with a mic and a 35mm lens. And then this is like my little camera gear stash kit, extra battery, got some like lens cleaning stuff in there, a pair of headphones. Always take a beanie on the late season hunts. Got my hunter's orange, which I would have been wearing. And I got mitts. So these Mountain Hardwear mitts are insulated and they're waterproof. It's got a Gore-Tex outer, which is really nice. I can put my small gloves inside of here, and I can connect these to my arm, so I can just basically put them on, be glassing. If I need to do something, I can get in my backpack, and then I'll put a hand warmer in here. I really like the mitts because the hand warmer can just live in there, keep all of your hands warm, which I don't think I put hand warmers in here for this pack dump because we had to redo our packs, but normally I would have hand warmers in here. I got a little buff, which is nice if it's really windy and cold to wear that. Some toiletries, which would just be basically toothbrush, toothpaste, some Q-tips. I'll usually put like some ibuprofen or Advil in there. Have a SteriPen for water, and I've got toilet paper, and I'll almost always carry a pair of earplugs in here, a lighter, and fire paste so we can make fires. This is kind of an essential thing you don't want to lose. And I lied. I do have hand warmers in there. So that is pretty much what I would run in my lid. I'd also have my day's worth of food usually would stash in the lid so that I could access that pretty easily. On face the backpack, I've got a Crazy Creek chair, which has been awesome to have. It's an extra pound or so, but when you're sitting and glassing a lot and sitting in camp, it really just saves your back. Makes things a lot easier to sit behind the glass. If you're comfortable, you'll glass longer. And if your back doesn't break on you at a young age, you'll hunt longer in life. So I think this is pretty essential. Tripod is really right stuff. Ascend 14 tripod with their ball head. This thing's awesome because it's pretty light and small for how rigid and capable it is. The head has great lockup, so as far as shooting a rifle off of here, I like the ball heads because I can set this up just about anywhere, and the legs don't have to be level to level my gun out and take a shot. There's a little bit of limitation when you're glassing, so you do have to adjust the legs a little bit depending on where and how you're trying to glass, but overall this thing is rock solid for glassing and shooting off of. Set that down there. Inside the pack, got my tent stakes. I've got a rain jacket because it does rain even in November in the mountains sometimes. It's nice to have to cut the wind. This is just a Kuiu, pretty basic rain jacket. Throw that down there. I definitely carry too many layers. I just like to be really comfortable and warm back there. So I had a Cirque vest from Stone Glacier, and I could wear this as an outer layer if it was really cold and windy as well, in place of my Ascendant hoodie, or just wear all of my layers to try to have as much warmth as possible. Always have a Grumman Goose Down jacket, really packable, very warm for the weight. That's a Stone Glacier piece, as well as my Grumman Goose Down pants. And I like to kind of keep those close to the face of the bag. I'll kind of stuff them in at the end, so if I put my pack down, I can just pull those out and stuff them back in pretty easily. For water, I've been rocking these Yeti Rambler bottles. I believe that's what they're called. These are just really nice, durable bottles, so I was keeping basically like my daily amount of water in this thing. And then I also was carrying a 2-liter, so 70 ounces Hydra Pack that I could fill with water as well. We were melting a lot of snow, so if we were having to carry and filter more water, I probably would have brought another one of these or my 3-liter Platypus, but we didn't have to do that. So and then I will take my food. I'll usually put them in a gallon Ziploc for each day. This is just a kind of a rough example of maybe what a day of food would look like as far as volume. And then typically, to make packing easier, I'll pull all my days apart and just pack them in there as space allows. And then I bring a dry bag to put these in when at night or when we leave camp, and just hang them in a tree so that we don't have food in our tents or close to camp. So yeah, as far as things that I like to carry, Big Sur bars are awesome. I don't have any of those in here. These Pro Max bars I've been loving. I'll carry little things like these Ritz peanut butter crackers, a lot of apple ciders or hot chocolates, and then we'll do ramen a lot. For the calories, I mean, it's 370 calories. It weighs almost nothing. And I've been, I bought a freeze dryer. So I have my own stuff. So I did like, this is like elk burrito taco meat with a couple Cholula packs. And if you mix this and the ramen, whew, it makes a heck of a meal. And then I'll carry other things like this is just some like protein oatmeal that I just sealed in its own little bag. I got some freeze-dried berry crisp. So I basically try to take 3,000 to 3,200 calories a day, and I just take food that I'm gonna wanna eat. You're gonna wanna try to get as many calories and eat all the food that you take. So rather than just trying to take things that are the smallest and lightest and probably not the yummiest, I just basically take whatever I know I'm gonna eat. Got a rain cover for my backpack in there. For tent, I was rocking the Durston Gear X Mid Pro 1. This is a sweet tent. It looks heavier than it is. This thing's like feather light. Really cool tent from Dan Durston. Would recommend. Didn't have to run it in crazy heavy snow, but for like a 3.5 season tent, I'd say even, like this thing's bomber. Got my stove. So inside of here, I've got a little spoon. Got a stove here. I've got my pocket rocket just wrapped up in a little cut apart microfiber towel so I can clean this pot up. And then for the hunt that we were on, I ran 2 of these small canisters, which was about perfect for 5 days of hunting out there in melting snow. Probably would have taken another one just to be comfortable if I had the space, but that's kind of how I'll run this little kit together here. Goes back together pretty easily, so it doesn't suck to pull it out and use it. Sleeping bag, we got a Stone Glacier Chill Cute 15-degree bag. This is in an Outdoor Research waterproof compression sack. Here is a Z-Flick tent pole from Durston Gear for my tent. Basically, I was carrying one pole because I only had bought one when I bought the tent. Now I have 2, and then I was cutting a piece of wood. You can use wood as tent poles. Obviously, Durston Gear's tent pole is really light and makes life way easier, but you can do it without these. Sleeping pad, we got the Thermarest Neo Air X Therm pad. It's probably one of the warmest R values, so I can push my 15-degree bag down to like probably 5 to 10 degrees if I need to pretty easily. Got a pillow, and then in the very bottom of the backpack here, I've got my game bag kit, which is, I believe, yep, just 3 game bags, and then I do have a couple compression strap extenders so that I can attach a mule deer rack to the backpack if for some reason the way my pack's configured doesn't want to like work well. And then I'll have a couple nitrile gloves in there just so you can keep your hands a little cleaner. First aid kit. I've got just a small, the ultralight watertight adventure medical kits. I also run a couple different quick clots in here. This is a newer one. I've got an old one that looks super ratty that's still in there. I would assume it still would work. I've got my tags. Got some stuff to fix the sleeping pad. This is like a little rando thing with some tenacious tape. We've got some little, I can't remember if they're hydros or some kind of painkiller that I had from an operation in the past that I didn't use, and I just kept them, threw them in there. And then we got a couple lithium batteries for the Kestrel or whatever. And then I added a tourniquet this year. I think it's a good thing to have because if you're gonna die out there, it's gonna be from trauma or you're bleeding out. So we should have our bases covered. And then for knife, Frontiersman gear, custom knife from Tanner. Still has blood on it. This thing has been awesome. It worked for both deer just fine with the edge that it had on it. I like the fixed blade. Just has a little bit more character than carrying a Havilon or something like that. Something that you could actually have for a long time and kind of build some memories with. And the fixed blade is obviously very nice for working an animal and having something to hang on to. So that's that. And then on this side of the backpack, I've got my spotting scope. So rocking the Leica Televid 82 phone scope adapter on here. And then I've got some side pockets on the backpack. This side, I just have another set of gloves. This is kind of like a leather set of outdoor research gloves. A little better for if we're going to be bushwhacking a lot and doing kind of some heavy lifting, I'd say. This glove's better than the other lightweight pair that I have. And then on the other side, I've got another pocket just like this. And I will carry just some random stuff in there. Try to get it all out at once. So inReach, sunscreen. I've got a game call here in case we need to get an animal to stand up or see wolves or coyotes and want to try to call them in. And then I've got my Phoenix. I think this is the HLR 60 or 65. Really, really bright. It's got a spotlight and a flood, so super versatile. I've used this a ton, probably every year and a half or so. It seems like if you want the battery to hold a charge, you kind of need to put a new one in there, but that's been awesome. And last piece of gear on the other side of the 6900, I just have a pair of Stone Glacier M5 rain pants. Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's a lot of stuff in there. I know one thing that I couldn't find, I don't know where I put it. I do have a little battery pack to charge my iPhone and a cord, but that pretty much wraps it up. So hopefully that helped you guys out a little bit. If you got questions, drop them in the comments. We'll try to get to them. And thanks for watching.